Hey, everybody, and welcome to my prediction show. So, we are less than 3 hours away from kickoff. You are going to get my last minute predictions, everything for the season, record prediction, playoff predictions, who's going to win the Super Bowl. I have been working away the last few weeks, just crunching all the numbers, doing all the algorithms, and now I am finally ready to reveal to you what is going to happen this season according to my algorithms right here on the NFL show. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another video. It's very late at night. It's now actually past midnight my time in Australia, but I have waited to come out this time right before kickoff for my community out there in the United States in the NFL, where I'm going to get my most views and everything. So look, I'm just rewiring my brain and everything. This is NFL, and for me, NFL means battling through sleep, lack of sleep, because I'm so pumped for this, and I'm so excited to reveal to you what I have in store for you guys. But make sure before we get to any of that stuff, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. This channel is growing. Of course, my NFL stuff is now out, and we are so excited. We've got NFL and Premier League basically battling it out on my show, on Caught Sport at the moment. We have other sports we're going to cover, but this is where it is. This is the most exciting crux. This is the time to predict and prognosticate. And before, by the way, we get into this, I should mention, just so you know, the first two matchups, which I previewed in my first NFL show on Thursday night, are so far I'm 2-0 in my predictions. I will probably come back to my predictions later on in another video for the rest of the week. And probably a quick reel afterwards, so look out for that. But yeah, we are going to be operating on little amounts of sleep. We're looking forward to the first slate of Sunday games. But as I mentioned, please hit the like button. Can we get the like up here for everybody? There we go. Hit the like button. Subscribe. We had a really good week last week, and since then we have stalled. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. And one thing before we hit the start button, shout out to Xander Kraus and Jacob Sport. If anybody's seen, we had a 2.5-minute cameo on Jacob Sport, so it's really awesome. So I am going to do my best to make sure for all Eagle fans out there and stuff, because that's obviously my people. Yeah, and anybody who's come here to watch this video because you saw my spot on Jacob Sport, you're so welcome. I'm so excited. Honestly, it was a massive, humbling, obviously just an opportunity. Xander threw it out there for a few people to jump on, and I took my opportunity to come on, and it was so awesome. So I'm looking forward to going on and collaborating more with Jacob as the year goes on the post-game shows, and jumping on as often as they'll have me, or as often as I can, because sometimes I might be at work during games or the hours. But yeah, it was very, very exciting stuff. And yeah, let's jump into it. Let's get into it, right? Because everyone wants to know, who do we have as predictions? So let's move on. AFC East predictions. Here you guys go. So I have, as you can see, to my screen on the right of me, um, the New York Jets winning the AFC East. Now, this is if Aaron Rodgers gets healthy. The reason why I've gone for the Jets specifically before we get into all the other ones, and we're going to get through this quickly because we've got so much to cover. But look, I just think the Jets, I love them on defense. I love the weapons they have on offense. If Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, I reckon from top to bottom, this is a contending roster. And again, it was tight with the Miami Dolphins, who I also believe are up there. It came down to one game difference in my predictions. Of course, this is going game by game. And yeah, I had the Jets just squeaking past Miami in terms of record by one extra game. And actually, Miami, in my prediction, actually were leading a long part of the way of the season, and the Jets eclipsed them just at the end to take the AFC East crown. After that, I do have a bit of a downslide for Josh Allen and the Bills. The main reason behind this is look, massive losses. They've lost both their starting receivers. No Stephon Diggs, no Gabe Davis. They've lost Poyer on the back end of the defense. Matt Milano is injured. He's out for the season. Who else did they lose on the back end of the defense? The other safety that also went. And Tre'Davious White, who now is with the Rams. So they lost basically their entire secondary. Trying to think who the other safety was. It's just very late at night, so I'm kind of skipping through this. And finally, fourth place in the AFC East, I have the New England Patriots. This is the first season in the non-Bill Belichick era. I just have them struggling. I think Jacoby Brissett is a struggle. Drake May will take over at one point, but also I just think the roster is just not really there yet. I don't like the receivers. They lost Matthew Judon. The defense isn't good. I think the Patriots are basically starting from ground zero, and their main priorities right now are to make sure they've got good draft capital so they can rebuild the Patriots in a new way. It's the kind of way it is. You lose a coach that you've had for 20 plus years, probably the greatest coach of all time, who won an era with the greatest quarterback of all time. And it's gonna be tough. And so you're kind of starting from ground zero with Jared Mayo at the helm. And so I have the Pats finishing fourth in the AFC East. So moving on, AFC North. As I mentioned the other day, where they lost the first game, I only have them losing two more times this season. The Baltimore Ravens, I have winning the NFC North. And it's quite simple. This is a team that had the best record in the NFL last year. They hosted the AFC Championship game, and they just couldn't find enough offense to beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And they're going on now. They've now lost to the Chiefs in game one. But I have them winning the AFC North. And obviously, I think the Derrick Henry addition is great. They've got a great defense. I think Zay Flowers is going to be good. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to continue his great form into the season. Second, I've got the Cleveland Browns. I actually am pretty bullish on the Cleveland Browns. And just a bit of I think the Cleveland Browns are going to take game one against Dallas today. I really like if look, Deshaun Watson, this is now his going to be second in that. Like he played half of the season, played a full season last year, and also he was injured back in and out with injury last year. I think he's going to play a full season this year. I've got the Browns down for 11 wins. Bengals 10-7. Look, actually originally had the Bengals in second, but the Jamar Chase contract issues, the T Higgins contract issues, it took a few numbers off for me. So I think they might be slow starters out the gate. I think eventually they will get things rolling, and I think they're going to get double-digit wins, 10-7. And in my prediction, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers the first time. I think this will be the first losing season under Mike Tomlin. Look, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, that's going to be, that's going to be obviously the main headlines. I just don't love the weapons outside on the receiving. They lost Deontay Johnson. George Pickens, is he ready to have a big season this year? Beyond that, who's really in there? Pat Fryermuth. O-line is still pretty weak. That defense is good, but I don't know. I just don't see enough firepower on offense for the Steelers. Even though I love the run game, but Arthur Smith at OC, I'm not a big fan of that either. I wasn't happy with the way his offense was in Atlanta, and I don't think neither Atlanta fans were. Moving on, AFC South. I've got 11 wins and a second consecutive division crown for the Houston Texans. Now, a lot of people are really high on the Houston Texans. I've heard some people put them as the second seed. I still think they're probably a fourth seed or thereabouts, and probably the fourth best team in the AFC. For me, I think CJ Stroud continues to take leaps and bounds. They put a lot of good weapons around him. Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs is in the building now. Very, very happy with what they've done. They've also had some good pieces on defense, loading up. I think they've got a really good roster, and I think I also got a really good coach. In second place, I've got the Jags, the Jacksonville Jaguars, with a winning record, 9-8. Trevor Lawrence and Doug Pearson. Keep in mind, guys, and one thing I should add, I have the Jaguars actually starting out, I think, 0-4, according to the record, but they come back and they bounce nicely. They get hot in the second half of the season. So Jaguars fans, I'm just saying the matchups, the start of the season is going to be very, very tough for you guys. And I have you guys losing four games, but you are going to come back 9-8. However, just shy of the playoffs for me, but valiant turnaround nonetheless for Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Look, I think they had a bit of a downtick. They had huge expectations last year. They didn't meet it. Now they've lost Calvin Ridley. But yeah, look, I think Trevor and Doug have got them winning season. And look, I think that's kind of where they're at the moment. For the Tennessee Titans, look, a lot of people are big on the Tennessee Titans. I just want to put out a warning out there. I realize they've acquired a few good players in there. They've obviously acquired Tony Pollard. We're just talking about Calvin Ridley. Now he's actually switched teams in the division. He's gone from the Jags to the Titans. Obviously, they got Hopkins, and they added Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs from the Seahawks on the back end of the defense. They got Ernest Jones just in a trade for the Rams, so they have upgraded. Look, they're 6-11 for me. It's just based on the schedule, wins and losses. I don't know what Will Levis is as a starting quarterback, which is the main thing. He's going to have good weapons, good people around him. And look, I could totally be wrong on this. And look, last year I was a bit more silly with some of my predictions. This year I've been a lot more careful. And I still think 6-11 is fair, but it could be higher than that. It really could. It just depends on how Will Levis. It's hard for me to put a number on how he's going to play this year. That's just the truth. And if he could outperform this, and they could be better than 6-11, but that's what it is. And similarly with Indianapolis, almost the exact same thing. It's hard for me to put a number on a quarterback who played a few games last year and was injured for most of the season. What's Anthony Richardson going to look like this year is a massive question. And so I have got the Colts at 6-11. Again, I like some additions, especially they did through the draft. I like Adonai Mitchell, to put him with Josh Downs and with Michael Pittman and with who's the other guy again? Got his name to lose me. Alec Pierce. Yeah, I have a nice young receiving core. Obviously got Jonathan Taylor, well coached, runs for Shaden Steichen. But again, it's mainly the quarterback. I need to see more out of the quarterback. Just give me 1 second. I just need to plug in my laptop before it runs out of battery. Sorry. And we'll continue with the AFC West before I get into my playoff stuff. All right. Computer's charging. All right, move on. AFC West. All right, so the defending Super Bowl champions I have down for 13. Did I actually? This is wrong. 1 second. Oh, I should just let you guys know. It says 13-4 on the screen, but I actually have the Chiefs down for 15-2. So that was a mistake by me. So I'm gonna actually put that on the banner here. Add banner. Chiefs actually go 15-2. Sorry for the mistype. Here you go. So Chiefs actually go 15-2. Yeah, look, I was tempted. I was actually tempted to give the Chiefs an undefeated season. However, they have had a history of dropping some shockers in the past. If I recall, on their way to Super Bowl a couple of years ago, in that Super Bowl year, I remember them losing to Indianapolis. Sometimes they drop games that you don't expect them to drop. And that is, and look, so I do have an upset. Upsets built into my calculation. So basically, there's an upset tax. So I had the potentially at 17. The upset tax takes 2 off, so it brings them to 15-2. I don't believe in heck of it. I can't make an undefeated season in any prediction. So the 2 is for any minor slip ups, but the Chiefs are obviously so good. They're so surgical. They already got one under the belt. Damn, it's so late in the morning. They've already got 1 win under their belts. So look, another 15-2, incredible season for Patrick Mahomes. Actually have them as the number 1 seed in the AFC. But we'll see how they go in the playoffs. After we move on to the next slide. The Chargers under Jim Harbaugh for the first season of Jim Harbaugh, I have them on 10 wins. And the premise again is this. Look, I think the Chargers fooled everybody last year. I think the coaching was terrible. Not at OC. I actually love the OC, obviously, because he's now the Eagles OC. But obviously, at head coach, I think Jim Harbaugh comes in. I know they've lost Keenan Allen, they've lost Mike Williams, they lost Dawson Eckler, a lot of the main pieces on offense, and that is very, very true. By algorithm, just on the opponents they have, I have them with 10 wins. And yeah, I think Jim Harbaugh gets this thing around. I'm expecting a full healthy season out of Justin Herbert. That's the main idea here. And it's also got to do with the fact that, look, if you look at the records of the 2 teams I have below them, it makes it easier for them to achieve wins. That's 4 wins basically for them, guaranteed. So it's the schedule. And yeah, I got Jim navigating 10 wins. The Raiders, I have the Raiders at 5-12. Basically, I just gonna be honest, the losing Josh Jacobs is a huge miss. I think having Gardner Minshew only as your quarterback. I mean, look, this was Jalen Hurts' backup only a couple years ago. I can't see past 5 wins for the Raiders. Look, they got some good playmakers on defense. Obviously, Max Crosby. They got Devontae Adams on offense and Brock Bowers now on offense, who I like. Oh, sorry. But yeah, look, I'm sorry. I think this is a 5-win team. And then I got the Denver Broncos again. Another team that I've heard a lot of prognosticators be strangely high on. And that's basically the Sean Payton thing. This has happened last year. Every year, somehow, people are really into the Broncos, and I'm always like super down on the Broncos, and I generally end up being right. Basically, since Russell joined, everyone's like, "Ooh, Broncos!" Oh, and last year it was Russell and Sean Payton. No, Broncos. My best friend Alex, you will be on this show at some points this season. Was bullish on the Broncos the last 2 years, and I was like, man, you gotta settle on the Broncos thing. And again, they'll be back in the lottery, not picking for quarterbacks, picking for other things. They've got so many holes talent wise on their roster, and Sean Payton didn't really show much to me last year to see the genius that he was. Look, my kind of thing on Sean Payton is I've yet to see the guy be successful without Drew Brees. Even when he was in New Orleans and Drew Brees was injured, I saw Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints teams struggle. So I think it is kind of what it is. I'm not a big Sean Payton fan. And yeah, look, Bo Nix is going to struggle. I think he's going to struggle. He doesn't really have many weapons to work with, honestly, on the offensive side. So I don't think they've got a great defense. They've got great defense on defense, like Patrick Surtain, but it doesn't equate to you're talking about a full team, everything. So yeah, I got Broncos with 3 wins, 3-14. Now let's go on to my playoff predictions for the AFC, and you're going to kind of see everything. Sorry, this has been at last minute, but you kind of see like it's going to work its way from the bottom to the top in elimination. So if you can see that, I have got the first matchup, the Ravens against the Bengals. The Ravens being the 2nd seed, the Bengals making the playoffs as the 7th seed. I've got the Jets making the playoffs. Hope everyone, there we go. Hope everyone can see that, the slide. I've got the Jets making the playoffs as the number 3 seed and the Browns, the wild card 6 seed. The Texans, the 4th seed, and the Dolphins, the 5th seed. So I've got the Ravens holding up at home, knocking off the Bengals. I actually have the Ravens beating the Bengals 3 times this season, so they'll complete a sweep. Lamar over Joe. Then I've got the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, man. I've got them making it into the divisional playoffs, beating the Browns in New York. Look, again, I said, I think it'll be a special season. I've been skeptical on Aaron's ability to stay healthy, but in the deepest, darkest midst of my brain, I feel like this guy is ready. He was knocking on the door to come back and be available at the end of last year. I just think the Jets are going to make it very, very. They're going to be cautious. They're going to protect this guy. They're going to put the ball into Breece Hall's hands, and I think Breece Hall's going to have a massive season. I like Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams. Yeah, I'm liking the Jets. For some reason, I know it's risky, and I generally trust me, I'm not one to take the Jets bait like a lot of other people. I've been skeptical on the Jets, but this year I just feel it. And it's also not just that; it's just the defense. They're great on all 3 levels. Great D line, great linebackers, great secondary. Honestly, I think they'll be the number 1 defense in the NFL this year. And look, if they can get Hassan Reddick somehow into the team and out of his contract disputes, that'll make it even better. What I've done is I've actually gone to the assumption that Hassan Reddick is not going to play for the Jets, and so him playing could even further boost it. So because I feel like I had to be safe here. I didn't want to boost their winnings on including a player that might not be there. So then the upset of the round, though, I have the Dolphins. Not really upset because actually I have the Dolphins with a better record, but the Dolphins heading to Houston. Look, it'd be a disappointment for the Texans. I just think they drew a tough opponent here. By the way, a shootout. I don't think this is close. I actually have the Dolphins winning an OT in my prediction here. Yeah, no, I know they've loaded up, but again, I think the Texans need to realize that they have more many years on the. Sorry, but I'm tired. Man. I was on the hot sport NFL shows. I'm just tired because I'm just thing is I'm doing so many stats and so many stats and so many stats, and I'm coming out with these shows late. And today as well, I made sure that I would come out with this prior to kickoff, prior to Fox Sports or CBS's pregame shows, which kick off in almost just under half an hour. So yeah, so I've got the Dolphins making it in, and in the second round, I got the Jets losing to the Ravens, so Lamar making it back to the AFC Championship game, and same to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. I had to do it. These are my best two teams on paper in the AFC, and now, as you can see, I don't have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Okay, I did a bit. I'm just going to come out clean here. I did have one on my algorithms because it's the same every single time. So I had the Chiefs beating the Ravens at home this week, and it was the exact same stuff. But I actually changed this. I originally was going to have the Chiefs in here, but after having watched that game, I just think, man, I remember. I also think about when we had a rematch very next year after the Bengals beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs came back to beat the Ravens, and I think this time, by hook or by crook, somehow Lamar is going to get and deny the three-peat. It's just. Look, I was so close to picking the three-peat, and you could pick the Chiefs in every single game, but. And maybe me going against the grain and actually picking against my algorithm might come back to make me look silly, but in my gut, I just feel like even after watching the game, I think it's almost a good thing that they lost this one because sometimes, like I know the way Andy works. They look the I think maybe the Chiefs thinking they have the Ravens number might work in the Ravens' favor. Because the Chiefs might just end up taking them lightly, and I just think eventually the Ravens are going to get their revenge and in the most important spot. So I've got the Ravens making it to the Super Bowl in the AFC. And we'll get back to who they'll be facing once we review the NFC side, which we will begin now. So let's go. NFC East. All right. As you can see, and I agree, like, oh, look at this Eagles fan, very biased. He's got his Eagles 12-5. Yeah, I do have the Eagles 12-5. I think look. I could have easily gone 14-3, but I just was like, look, I know this Eagles team. We're prone to some slip ups, some mistakes. This is a team that really went down the hole in the end of last year. But look, after watching the game against the Packers, I was, as you can see, my reaction on Jacob Sports. And my reaction on my post-game reel, I'm just really hyped by what the Eagles were doing. And I think this defense is further along than I first initially thought. I thought the linebacking play was going to be a big weakness. Zach Ball looks like he's in line to have a big season, and so could Nakobe Dean. And that's not even to mention guys like Devin White and Jeremiah Trotter. So that linebacking crew is looking a lot better than people first expected. I also thought Quinyon Mitchell looked really good in his first game. In Philly, we really didn't see much from Cooper DeJean at all, even though he suited up. Yeah, and look, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter on that defense. I think they're looking better. They're looking better than I thought. And obviously on offense, nobody's better skill guys than the Birds. No one. I mean, and the 49ers is close. It's damn close. And we can get into that when we talk, later on about the 49ers. But it's close. I think 12 in 5 is a nice balance. It's not too gung ho, so it's somewhere in the middle. Remember, this is a team that won 11 games last year, so it's actually a 1 game improvement on last season. That's what with the corners and everything, but it has them winning the NFC East. And look, the second place team is the Dallas Cowboys, and I think a lot of people are very low on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not. Look. I'm not obviously their biggest fan. You know, but I have them down for 11-6. Look, I don't think it's going to be as good as last year, and that's obviously I think a decrease of one win. Is it 1 win decrease? I think they were 12-5 last year. Look, obviously the big concern is the running back position. They've lost Tony Pollard. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott and an old Ezekiel Elliott, old Dalvin Cook. Obviously, Dak. You got CD in there. You got you got Cooks in there, Brandon Cooks in there. So, look, I still think they're great on defense. I think a lot of people are making up on the drama, and a lot of people are looking for a downfall. I think they're gonna regress a little bit because I just don't think I can't see back to back NFC East titles. I haven't been since 2004. So, look, if they're not going to be as bad, they're not going to be. Everyone's they watch the well, get ready to lose a lot of games. As much as I love the banter, my algorithm still has the Cowboys on 11 wins, which I think is good. I'll make them the 5th seed in my playoff thing. Again, a team everybody is high on, I am down on, and again, you'll notice 6-11 is it's a number that I use for very specific reason, and that is I don't know what we're going to get out of the quarterback position. And of course, a lot of people are high on Jaden Daniels. A lot of people think that he might have a CJ Stroud's type of year, and I'm like, I honestly don't overlook Caleb because I think Caleb is the one that's going to have a CJ Stroud season. Spoiler for my next slide. But look, they got Eckler in there. Still got Terry McLaurin. Look, they lost Jahan Dotson. He's now obviously come to Philly. Look, again, I'm not very high on the roster. I still think they need to really improve that roster, especially in the secondary. And yeah, look, again, it's a number that could rise. I'm at 6-11, but this is my number for if I think the quarterback could be good, but I don't know what I'm going to get out of him. So it could also be bad. So I've kind of 6 is my default for. It's also, by the way, it's also algorithm. So I've played games. I've just simulated games using my algorithm. I match everybody up. So that's what came out for them, and then for Indianapolis, and then also for Tennessee. But yeah, again, similar profile to those sort of teams at the moment, as well with a new head coach. And finally, in the NFC East, I have the Giants down for 3 wins this year, and I think the Giants will finally use that top 3 pick. I think I projected now for next year to finally go out and solve their quarterback position because Daniel Jones just ain't it. And the roster is just so bad. They've got some really good players in there, but I've also got just so many holes. Like there's so many holes in the Giants roster that if they were a plastic bags, they would be they were a plastic bag, they'd be leaking water. Like that's just kind of what it is. I think. Look, I like Malik Neighbors as a draft pick. Obviously, lost Saquon, but yeah, again, questions on if Daniel Jones can stay healthy as well. I just kind of, I just don't know. It's personnel. It's not really coaching. I think she like Brian Daboll as a coach. It's just personnel. Sorry. I think the Giants have just built this roster all wrong, and I still think that they will be regretting paying Daniel Jones what they paid him. And it's just as simple, as straightforward as that. Moving on now to the NFC North. I've got a big season, another big season for the Detroit Lions. They have the same exact record I've given to the Eagles. 12-5. And look, bullish on the Detroit Lions. I love where they are. I love the offense with Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think you're finally going to see a full season of Jameson Williams, which is exciting. I thought Sam Laporta came along really well on offense. They've got the 1-2 punch of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the back five. The best O-line. Oh, sorry. The best O-line in the NFL. Look, that title used to belong to the Eagles. Jason Kelsey's gone. And now I think that title moves on to the Detroit Lions. And, the great O-line, that's gonna give you a very, very high ceiling and a very, very high floor. And again, the defense is coming along better. They keep dressing it in the drafts like every year, different levels. So that now you've got what's his name again? Come on, man. Who's the come on, man. I'm sorry. It's just almost 1:00 in the morning. Lions. Come on. Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah, they drafted Aiden Hutchinson and they drafted Jack Campbell. And this year they went and they got Terrion Arnold. So that defense is slowly coming along. I really like it. And I think the Detroit Lions, again, one of the top 3 teams in the NFC. The Chicago Bears, I think I actually really who had the best offseason is Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. They got the best quarterback in the draft. Someone who I believe is generational, and I think he's going to deliver right away. The weapons that they've put around this kid is sensational. Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and again at tight end they've got a good tight end in Cole Kmet, and then they've got DeAndre Swift, my former running back, coming out of the backfield. Look, the big question on them is the O-line. But I just think I love Caleb Williams, the talent that he is with the weapons he's got, and they've got a really good defense. The Bears in the second half of the season, are the number 1 defense in the NFL, and they've got some really good players, great linebackers, good secondary players. Like I think they're a bit weak on the defensive line outside of Sweat, but yeah, I've got them with a winning season now and making the playoffs as the 7th seed. So this is the CJ Stroud, Rookie of the Year campaign, I believe, as well for Caleb. He's going to lead his team to the playoffs. And the Green Bay Packers, last-minute adjustment. So Jordan Love is going to miss probably 4 to 6, 3 or 4 or 6 weeks. So I've docked the Packers a few more losses. This is why you wait until right before the Sunday kickoff to release these, so I can change the algorithm, right? To go back and adjust some wins, some losses. For instance, I actually have them, losing some games that you would be surprised. And that's during the Jordan Love being out period. And I think, again, I have them coming on late, making a run, making a push, but I only have them at 7 wins. And it frustrates me because I had the Packers as a playoff team, but I think that they're going to lose a lot of games with Malik Willis at the helm, waiting for Jordan Love to come back. I just think so. Honestly, like having watched that team yesterday, they are such a good team, but Jordan Love makes that on offense. I swear, this kid is great, and he's going to be a massive miss. I just like when you saw Malik Willis comes into the game, sack by Burks to end the game. Not Burks. Sorry. What's the name of our linebacker? See, I'm getting more and more tired, and I've got a long way to go because the NFL game is kicking off in just over 2 hours. I'm talking about. I mentioned him earlier. But yeah, like he got sacked to end the game. So yeah, look, 7-10, and again 6-11. That is the Vikings record, and this is purely because of Justin Jefferson, and also I like the Gilmore edition. I lost a lot of pieces. Obviously, JJ McCarthy, the quarterback they drafted, will not be playing this year. He's now out for the year. Um, Aaron Jones as well comes in. So look, yeah, I just don't love the Sam Darnold thing. And again, this is a bit of a different category because the other ones, obviously, we're talking about Will Levis, we were talking about Anthony Richardson, we were talking about Jaden Daniels. Those are somehow different sort of categories to this, where this is just, yeah, I'm just not a big Sam Darnold guy. And look, six wins is also, fair. 6-11 for the Minnesota Vikings. Now moving on, NFC South. I've got the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins down on for 11 victories this year. And look, and winning the division, I think it's an improvement. Look, I was big on them last year. They started disappointed me, and I think the coach, it was Arthur Smith, that I think helped them back. But you got to love the talent they have on offense. You got to love the additions they brought on defense as well. Matthew Judon, they got great secondary. Love Bates, um, Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, and the crew. Love the roster the Atlanta Falcons have. And then you look on their offense. Drake London, first round pick. Kyle Pitts, first round pick. Bijan Robinson, first round pick. Oh, great O line. Rondé Moore got injured, but they bring in what's his name from the Bears. See his name from the Bears. See, I've been up all day, and I'm a bit tired. Darnell Mooney. So yeah, so I like the weapons. Kirk Cousins, I think, gives him a competent quarterback. Again, he got injured late to the end of the season, so I don't necessarily know what he is. But in the NFC, I have them as the fourth seed and winners of the NFC South. And finishing with a winning record this year, I've got the New Orleans Saints, and I actually have the New Orleans Saints making the playoffs this year. Look, this is the second year now for Derek Carr. Again, got good, nice, good vets on the team. I like the schedule. I think it's an easier schedule here for the Saints. Still, I'm a big, massive Alvin Kamara guy. I love myself some Chris Olave. Yeah, I think people are sleeping on this team. I think people are sleeping on this team massively, and they've just got a lot of good contributors all across the defense, especially good defense, really good defense. Buccaneers, I have regressing. They obviously won last year. Yeah, I just don't. Look, I know they beat us in the playoffs last year, but nothing to do with the merit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles were sleepwalking into the playoffs, and they wanted that season to end. Let's just be honest. I'm not convinced by Baker Mayfield really this year. The roster isn't really as good. They've now lost again more players. Player people who've gone retired as well. They lost Jensen. Oh, I should take the Chiefs one off here. Yeah, been sitting there for all this time. I just haven't been paying attention. So I just big regression here by the Buccaneers, finishing third, 7-10. And again, a tough season for Bryce Young and the Panthers. Again, I think the roster has so much more to go. And I think, yeah, this is not a good roster. And simple. I'm not really big on the Panthers. So I have Panthers at 4-13. Look, we're going to try to cap up this. We're about 15 minutes or so left to go on this video. We're going to try to keep this off at an hour. Here's the NFC West. I have the 49ers down for 14-3. Again, another team that I was very, very I was flirting with maybe going 16-1 on this team. I, I took the upset tax on their games, especially like last year. I was thinking about Minnesota. Um, well, sometimes they're not at it. Sometimes the 49ers have a propensity to have weeks where they're missing a lot of their key guys on offense to injury, and they have their weird, slumps in the middle of the year. So I have kind of put that in there. But look, on defense, the amazing players on defense: Bosa, Hargrave, Warner, uh, Hufanga. Like, man, I mean, they had Devondre Campbell. Um, dude, 49ers are great. And on offense, look, I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy guy. I'm like, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like a big alpha male prototype quarterback to me. He just seems like he just gets the ball out. He does what Kyle Shanahan does, and he listens to instructions. And he can get the ball to his guys, but the skill guys that he has, Christian McCaffrey, probably the best player I think in the NFL, like the best offensive player, skill player in the NFL. Makes him so dangerous. Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, list goes on and on. So yeah, I've got them as the first seed in the NFC. And yeah, you can argue who's better, guys. Eagles offensive skill players, Niners offensive skill players. As I mentioned to Xander at the very end of my interview with him yesterday, I think the Eagles have a better O line on offense, but again, the 49ers have yeah, it's close. It's close. The good guys are close, but they get a better defense. Much better at the defense does. But the Eagles are going to have to hope that our defense comes along because the potential is there. 8-9, slight regression for the Rams. I just think, look, the Rams were an incredible surprise for me. Last year, I had egg on my face. I think I had them with maybe only a couple wins, maybe one win last year. And they made it all the way to the playoffs. Look, the schedule gets a lot tougher for them this year. And as well, I just think people have answers for Puka Nakua that they weren't really ready for last year. I just think they're, but the big reason that I haven't been able to know, the biggest, massive reason is missing Aaron Donald. And they've also just traded away Ernest Jones. So the pieces on defense for me aren't really there for the Rams. Great offense, but it's the defense that I still think that Les needs going to have to work on during the offseason coming up afterwards. But again, they've drafted some guys, and let's see if they can come along. Seahawks, I'm down for 6-11. They've also lost a lot of pieces in this summer. Obviously, they've got some good players on offense. Again, I don't know what Geno is going to be this year. Again, it's just the schedule is just the way it came out. 6-11 for the Seahawks. And finally, with the worst record in the NFL, a lot of people, again, high on the cards. Just I think mainly because of Kyler Murray, but and Marvin Harrison Jr. But again, so many holes, especially on the defensive side of the football for the Arizona Cardinals. This is a team that's going to get better over time, and they're going to need. And look, they could definitely outperform 2 wins. I have them at 2 wins in the algorithm. They could outperform it for sure, but I actually have them back at the table with another number 1 pick. Probably not going to be a quarterback, but another chance for them to upgrade their team next year. Now let's get into the NFC playoffs before we wrap up the video, and then we can show you our Super Bowl prediction, which is, as you can say, same as last time. Rooks from bottom to top. Eagles as the 2nd seed, taking on the Bears at Lincoln Financial. A matchup of Jalen Hurts against Caleb Williams. Really fascinating, interesting matchup, but the riled up atmosphere at the Link was just going to be too much for the Bears to handle. And I would have the Eagles advancing in that one. The Saints traveling to Detroit. The second seed, the Detroit, 6th seed, the Saints. I have the Lions winning that matchup. And I have the Cowboys. Again, people sleep in the Cowboys. Upsetting the Falcons. And I think, look, I think almost the perfect matchup for the Cowboys was to go and play Kirk Cousins. Like, who could be more Dak than Kirk Cousins? Like, people expect Dak to come out and not play well in the playoffs, but I think Kirk Cousins have got some of the same attributes. And yeah, I think I like the pieces the Cowboys have on defense, man, and I think this is very predictable. I think this is very realistic the way I've put this up in the NFC. And again, I have the Packers missing out on the playoffs. I actually originally had them in here, but they've taken it out, so this is a last minute shuffle for me. I've actually done this today. Come up with this today. And so then I have the Eagles beating the Lions at the Link. This is going to be a really good ball game. I have that being like a shootout, but I have the Eagles winning at the end and advancing to the NFC Championship game. And then again, I said to Xander, he asked me, where do I have the Eagles this year? And I had them in the NFC Championship game. I didn't say in the Super Bowl, which kind of tells you where I have the Eagles doing in the NFC Championship game. And by the way, they will be playing the 49ers after they beat the Cowboys. And again, very predictable for me. The Cowboys go to San Fran and they struggle away against the Niners, and Dak and the Cowboys do not make the championship game once again. Very realistic. Come on. Who doesn't see that happening? Come on. I wake up in the morning, I go to sleep at night, and the Cowboys lose in the divisional round to the 49ers. Like, come on, that's guarantees. And then I have in the NFC Championship game, this time it's a rematch of the 2022 NFC Championship game, and I've got, unfortunately, look, the Niners reaping the revenge of the Eagles. Look, if it wasn't the other way around, I could have potentially put us in the big game, but as I mentioned, I broke it down. The offenses are similar. I think our line is better, but they're big. The thing is when our offense is out there, which is probably our stronger side of the ball, they have to go up against that San Fran defense. And when San Fran come up out, which is still a strong side of the ball for them, they've got to play our Eagles defense, which is really, really, really not good. And how are we going to stop Christian McCaffrey if we could barely stop Josh Jacobs yesterday in the second half? So that kind of scares me. I just have to be realistic. And I've got the 49ers getting another shot at the big game. And to finish off the video, who do we have in the Super Bowl? Well, luckily, here we go. I have the Super Bowl San Francisco 49ers against the Baltimore Ravens. Who do I have in the Super Bowl? And that is, I have the Baltimore Ravens winning against the 49ers and Lamar Jackson breaking through and getting his Super Bowl ring, which I think would cement him as a Hall of Famer. Again, it's another missed trip by the 49ers. This is a rematch, actually, of a Super Bowl from maybe 10, 15 years ago, yeah? When the Harbaugh brothers played each other, faced off. And I was the one where the Super Bowl where the lights switched off in the stadium in New Orleans. Interestingly enough, we're back in New Orleans, and I've got the same two teams back in New Orleans, the Niners and the Ravens. And I just have the Ravens taking it this time. I think this team of destiny, if they can get over the Chiefs hump into the playoffs, I think I like their chances against the 49ers. I have the Ravens as the champions, guys. Let me know what you think of my NFL predictions. They're finally out. There you go. Ravens beating the 49ers in the Super Bowl this year, guys. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know your feelings. We are less than 2 hours away now from the from the start of the Sunday early games. Which I'll take a maybe I'm gonna try to take a quick nap before, because honestly I'm so tired and I have work tomorrow as well. But I I can't miss this. This is the NFL. Man, I'm so excited. I'm obviously like for me, I got my big feel because the Eagles played. I wish I could give you some my picks for the rest of the games now. I'm just gonna have to make a reel after this. But guys, let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is gonna win the Super Bowl? Obviously, you see, I've got the Ravens this year, you know, not the Chiefs. I could have easily been the Chiefs. It could have easily been the 49ers. Again, tempting to make the Eagles Super Bowl champions, but I've got to stick to my credibility. I got to be real. I think the defense has got a little bit way to go before we can win a championship. But that's kind of my final four teams. Look, I think I've been very fair. I think I've been very realistic. I've been very unbiased. I stuck to my algorithm here. So if you guys have any complaints or anything, it was the algorithm. A few times I broke. One time I broke algorithm, and that was in the AFC Championship game because I just was like, yeah. And I've done that before. I've done it before. Um, and generally, sometimes if I stick to algorithm too much, it can go wrong because obviously, I want the key thing before I say, and the projections of all the stuff is maintaining that mostly people remain healthy, key players remain healthy on the teams. Um, some of the, obviously NFL season so nothing. One thing that you can see from the NFL that always is consistent is change and injuries and war of attrition and the craziest thing happened. Quarterback goes down. Like you saw already with Jordan Love, right? And I've had to adjust quickly on the fly here, and so that's just kind of how I go. If everything remains healthy, that's the caveat. But again, I think it's a very realistic thing. I think I've been fair. I think sorry I burst some people's bubbles. I just think some of the analysis on some of the teams is just got from some of the pros big networks. They just have such holes on them. I think they have coaches that they like and they forget about their roster. They've got rosters that they like and forget about the coach, and they got storylines that they like and then they go take it too far. And so I'm just here to break it down to you and give you the real, right? I just got to give you the truth, my honest opinions, and that's how it is. But let me know again, who do you guys have winning the Super Bowl? Let me know your thoughts on what I had predicted. Make sure you make sure you subscribe to the channel. Um, Man, I've been up late making sure I put this together. I could have half-assed this. I was so tempted just to screenshot you notes, but I made graphics and everything for this. So, guys, thank you very much if you've made it this far in the video. And enjoy the football, guys. NFL Sunday is only 2 hours away. And we will be back to recap because Premier League is not on. So I will have an NFL show on Tuesday after Monday Night Football to wrap up the week's action. Until then, guys, take care and God bless.